All right. We've now been joined by Joey Logano. Joey, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you spending some time with us on the eve of your 500th Cup start, which ironically comes at Bristol, which is a fun track for you guys. Just talk a little bit about what it means to have 500 starts, but then also just kind of what you're looking forward to tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been some days it feels like it's been a long 500 starts, and others it feels like it goes by really quickly. And kind of think it's like probably having kids. Sometimes the days are long, but the years are short, and it's probably similar in the sport. So it goes by at a blink of an eye at times, and you kind of go back, and it's easy to kind of reminisce on the in the past a little bit, and think about your first start in Loudon or our first pole here in Bristol, and those type things. And fast forward, what's it been, 14 years or so, and here I am making my 500 start. So I remember watching Truex and Kenseth and those guys start their 500 start, and I thought, oh my God, that's a lot of starts. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get that far into it. And now it feels like it really didn't take that long. So yes, it's a great accomplishment to say you've had that many starts, and it's special, but it's still always about the wins to me. Want to win a lot, but to be able to accomplish 500 starts at 32 years old, that's pretty cool.
All right, we'll take questions for Joey. If you have one, raise your hand. We're going to get to as many as we can. We'll start with Jeff, Deb, Stephen, Claire, and Bob. Go ahead, Jeff.
Do you have any sort of start goal? Do you want to try to get to 1,000 or something before your career's over?
I'm already losing my hair, Jeff. I don't know if I'll make it. I don't have a start goal. I mean, I've looked into the Ironman award there. I mean, it's definitely possible for me if I can keep consistently making the starts that I've been able to do. I'm probably one of the only ones that can really achieve that. So it's there. I don't know how much that means to me. And it's kind of, I know where I am for the foreseeable future right now, and I'm happy where I'm at. I just re-signed with Penske and Shell, and I'm obviously in a great spot there. But you fast forward a few years down the road, who knows, right? You just can't call life. You don't know, where you're going to be and how competitive you'll be. I know one thing: if I can't win, and I feel like I am holding back a race team, I probably don't belong there anymore. When I feel like I'm not contributing to performance in our race team, that's going to be my cue. But right now, obviously, I still can, and I have no thoughts of retirement anytime soon. So we'll see. As we get closer, maybe if I'm a year away, maybe I'll do it. I don't know. If it depends on life, your family and all that too.
All right, Deb, go ahead.
Deb Williams, RacingToday.com. Kind of a continuance on the contract situation, Joy. Earlier today, Hendrick announced that they have signed Kyle Larson through 2026. It seems like since the incident happened with Tyler Reddick, where he signed a one-year extension and now he's gone after that, it seems like all the team owners suddenly have decided, oh crap, I better keep this driver and sign him to a multi-year contract. Do you think that happened, or how do you see suddenly we're seeing multi-year contracts signed now?
Well, I think you look at who's being signed, right? I mean, Kyle Larson's a great race car driver. I think Rick's going to be smart enough to try to lock him in as long as he can. If it's something that's working, you want to just continue to do it, right? And I can't speak for other race teams besides our own, right? And that was part of my decision-making process as well, and I think is Rogers as well, is that we're in a great spot. We can win races. We can contend for championships every year. We got a great partner in Shell that's been on this race car for a long, long time, and the partnership works on both sides. It's just a perfect fit, so you don't want to change it, right? I don't want to start all over and go again. Now, if it wasn't going great, then you probably start to look around and shop around and those type of things. But I think when you look at the guys that are out there winning right now, it's hard to just jump ship if everything's going well, right? If you're able to compete for wins and championships, it's really hard to just start all over. If you feel like you're your car is not as good as your talent, well, then you're probably starting to look around, right? Because you want to win. So it just probably just depends on a lot of things. But I think the ones that are re-signing right now are obvious deals that owners and drivers would want to have as a long-term contract.
All right, Steven, go ahead.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Joey, last night's Truck Series race had cool temperatures, not a lot of tire fall off, and a lot of drivers after the fact were kind of complaining that it was really difficult to pass and they couldn't do much. You were in a similar race in the Cup Series in Martinsville back in the spring. You finished second, I do believe. After seeing the truck race last night, is there any concern of a potential repeat of Martinsville happening tomorrow night, or are you not as concerned given some of the other variables that are at hand?
There's plenty of variables left in the situation right now. We've seen this happen before here at Bristol. They put the PJ1 on the bottom. If it's sprayed on a little too thick, it just becomes the dominant lane. If it's cool out, it doesn't really chunk up and take a bunch of rubber down there, which kind of takes the advantage away from the bottom, which forces you to move up. It makes the top lane work, and then you get a couple lanes working. So it wasn't quite hot enough to really chunk the rubber up on the bottom. I think it's kind of hard to say how our race is going to be yet, especially until we get out there and get a lot of laps going. We have a wider tire than we've ever had here at Bristol. We're going to be running 500 laps, pounding that rubber into the racetrack. I think it's going to chunk up eventually, and you're going to be forced to move up the racetrack. Pretty certain about that at some point during the race. Might be 100 laps in, might be 50 laps in, it might be 300 laps in. I don't know because we haven't been here with this car yet and to know how it's going to be. But I think once you get an Xfinity race out there tonight, I think eventually it's going to move up, probably start to touch the top a little bit. It's my guess. It's kind of how it's been in the past. Not saying the bottom won't be the preferred lane, but eventually that PJ1 wears off where it chunks up with rubber and it forces guys to move around. That's probably what's going to happen.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, Claire.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. So, Joey, you've made 25 series starts here, 2 wins, 6 top 5s. Everybody talking about the next-gen car here. Nobody knows what to expect with it here. Does that throw out the window, the fact that, you got 2 wins here, you know how Bristol works? I mean, we got the PJ1, that's always different. Does it still give you an advantage here, or is that wipe out that and we just don't know?
I don't know. I mean, Bristol's Bristol, right? I mean, once you kind of have an idea of what it takes to go around this place, at least you kind of know the feel and you know the way the race typically goes and trends that you may see throughout the race. I think a lot of those things will be similar. Now, with the next-gen car, there is differences, maybe different lines on restarts, maybe the way your balance goes throughout a run. Those things can be different. So it is a bit of a new game. I've been saying it all year long. If you're going to be a rookie, this is your year to be a rookie because the guys with experience, it's not as big of an advantage as it has been in the past. So, I'd say continuing that theme will be like that, but it's still 500 laps, and experience helps you run 500 laps to kind of know how long it can be and what you need to do to get out of it. But there's a lot of questions that will be answered here once practice starts as well.
So what do you know for sure about Bristol?
Can't tell you at all. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a tough, grueling race. There's going to be strategy that comes into play at some point if cautions kind of stack on top of each other. The rubber buildup is going to be different whether you have 75-lap green flag runs or 30-lap green flag runs, and trying to adjust to that, or at least knowing where the track's going to be. I think that stuff will continue to stay the same. Yep.
All right, we'll go Jordan, Bob, and Nate. Go ahead, Jordan.
There was PJ1 applied to the track yesterday. In this era with the new car and so many unknowns, is this something that not NASCAR, is this something that the Speedway Motorsports needs to still do to each track? Because it seems like it doesn't seem to work more often than not.
I don't know if I would be so quick to say it doesn't work more often than not. I don't believe Bristol needs it. But I don't know. Everyone has a different opinion of what good racing is at Bristol. I thought Bristol was great before we ground the top. Yeah, I thought it was great racing. And then everybody thought Bristol was great before they, reconfigured it years back there when everyone was stuck on the bottom and rooting everyone out of the way. And that's what they did with the PJ1 is to try to get to where the only way you can pass someone is root them out of the way. Is that good racing? I don't know. Everyone's got an opinion, right? And and I don't know who's right, but I think having options to race in different lanes is a good thing, especially with this car. I think that's a good thing, and I'm not sure that the PJ in the bottom really does that. And like I said, the other piece is how wide it is, right? Is it 4 feet wide or is it 6 feet wide? Right, that seems to be a pretty big difference on how dominant the bottom lane is, which is pretty wide out there right now. You can see a whole car is in the PJ, so it's definitely sprayed pretty wide right now.
All right, we'll go Bob and then Nate. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. I had a couple. The first, what do you think Tyler Reddick is going through? You talked about, I think, a little bit about what Kyle was going through, but with the unknown, and are you aware, like, okay, if I'm racing this guy, he's not only on the cut line, but he doesn't know who he's going to drive for next year, and who knows who he's going to help and who he's not going to help?
Well, I think with Tyler, it's kind of obvious what, as far as who he's helping or not. He pushed Austin to a win in Daytona, so he's a great teammate there. I'm also very aware of where he's going next, and he's got more teammates than anybody out there right now. So he's in a unique situation for sure, and I don't know. I mean, he's got to make his own decisions out there on what to do, but I'm sure it's a little awkward for him, and who knows? I guess it'll be awkward for the next year too. I don't know how that all supposed to work, but like I said, I got to focus on my own stuff this weekend. We got to get our 22 car through, but yeah, it's definitely some interesting silly season type stuff going on out there.
And with two non-playoff winners in the first two races this round, next round with the Roval and Talladega quite possibly happens again, does it change any sort of strategy or any sort of dynamic for the guys who are in the playoffs, knowing that there might be better chances for non-playoff guys to win?
I mean, it definitely is. Imagine if the playoffs started a couple weeks later. Like, holy cow. What a crazy year, which is what we expected. We expected this year to just be very unpredictable and no one really being able to figure this car out. And it really seems like that. There's still so many questions. And as we come to Bristol for the first time on concrete, there's a lot of questions again. So, yeah, can there be another first-time winner? Absolutely. And there's a couple of drivers that are expected to win every year that haven't won yet. So you got to think that they're probably going to bust off a win at some point, but you just don't know. So I don't know if it changes the way you go through the playoffs. You're still focused in on just maximizing the day. If that's the win or if that's fifth, you just have to get the most points that you can possibly get, and I don't think that changes from year to year.
Okay, go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, ABC Sports. Joe, you're a veteran of many playoffs, so you know that the narrative normally is the playoffs start and everybody steps it up a level. Everybody brings their best stuff. Practice at Chicagoland, it used to be the top 10 cars were all playoff cars, or Vegas, the top 10 finishers, they'll be top 10 playoff guys. But it seems like that narrative is a little different this year, where it's not just that guys are having problems. It doesn't seem like they've been, like the Hendrick cars weren't as good at Darlington, and we had a non-playoff driver that win there. Ross Chastain was in here earlier saying that he felt like the new car kind of prevented people from bringing like the special components or the stuff that you might used to be able to bring to find that next gear in the playoffs. Can you speak to that at all? Is it harder to kind of peak or whatever it is that guys would normally do the last 10 races now?
Yeah, there's only certain areas you can develop, right? And it's not really many parts on the race car that is, so it's smaller, and so it comes down to setups. We're all playing with the same deck of cards when we start, and it's just kind of how you play that hand. And it varies from track to track, and especially, I said, coming to Bristol for the first time, someone can hit it that's not really expected to, right? It's hard to have just a clear advantage going into where you can miss your setup a little bit and still be pretty good, right? That's how it's been in the past. Is if someone's just got better cars, more capability in their car, they can miss the setup and still run 5th to 10th. Now, if you miss your setup, you're probably running 15th to 20th, right? It's just a lot different now. And then because of that, you have different winners because there's more capable cars out there. And no one has a clear advantage in a lot of different ways. There's some tracks that, certain manufacturers may have advantages over others, but it's not huge like it used to be. Is teams that may have a little bit of an advantage here and there because they figured something out for a little bit. You know, it's just keeps changing, right? Like, and everyone's trying to figure out not only the setups, but where is the low-hanging fruit on this car when you're developing it from at the wind tunnel and those type of things. What can and can't you do? You know, the rules change as it goes along too here. So it definitely, like I said this before, you used to have teams that were strong for 3 to 4 months at a time. Now it's 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And it just seems like that cycle happens a lot quicker now.
Did Kansas, was that an example of that for you? If you missed it, you're 15th to 20th, where in the past you might have been 5th to 10th?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if you're, yeah, exactly. Especially there, because that's one of those racetracks. A fast car goes fast, right? It's really hard to make up not having it for a fast car at a track like that.
All right, we're going to take a couple quick more questions really fast before we let Joey go. We're going to go to Lee.
Your next win is your 30th. Did you think that you would be at 30 at 32 years of age, or did you think you'd have more? You know, where did you think you'd be?
Depends on when you ask me that. My rookie year, I'd say I'd have a lot more. By the end of my rookie year, I was just hoping I had a job. You know, like, it's just kind of changed. And you know, you asked me when I first started at Penske that we'd win the championship. You know, what was it, 4 or 5 years later? I probably didn't see that coming at the time. And now I look at it and go, man, there's a lot of missed opportunities out there. You know, there's been some great wins in those 500 starts, right? There's been a Daytona 500, there's been championships, there's the dirt race here. There's been some cool moments that don't count as those 30 or 29 wins. It's, you know, the Clash and those type of things. But I don't know, when you hear it like 29 out of 500, it's kind of like I kind of want a lot more than that. But when you look at the all-time win list and stuff, I mean, you're kind of in contention with a lot of others that have been great in the sport. So it's just hard to win, right? It's hard to stack up 5-6 wins every single year. Not many have done it, and so it's just a tough. It's a tough sport. It's tough to have, you know, multiple wins in a season. You know, more than 2 or 3 every year. It's really tough to get that many. You got to have a really strong team to accomplish that.
And how much will the All-Star race, having been with the new car at Texas, help you when you go back next week?
I mean, it'd be better than not at all, but I mean, it's going to be the same for everyone, right? Everyone had the opportunity to go to Texas. Also, things have changed since we've been there. Once again, right, as the cars develop and change and all those things, it's going to be different than where we were last time. Weather will be different. Resin, how it's applied, those type of things will be different. There's been an IndyCar race there since we've been there. So, you know, there's a lot of change that can happen. But this next round's a pretty tough one, right? When you think of Texas being maybe the most normal race, and then you have the Roval and Talladega on top of that. I mean, it's definitely going to be a unique round for sure, as it always has been.
All right, we're going to go to Mark and end with Dustin.
Well, Lee kind of grabbed part of my question. Mark Arrow with PR, and given the way the car has developed on the mile-and-a-half racetracks, do you think we'll see a better race at Texas over a full race as opposed to an all-star race this time around, or not?
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, a lot depends on the track temperature. It seems like a lot of times, and what kind of fall off is in the car, and you know, is the bottom lane work down in 1 and 2 to where you can go down there and make passes or not. That'll be one of the trickier things to kind of see when we get there. So I can't call the future on that one. I'm not sure.
All right, Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. There have been some times where some people thought that this particular race maybe didn't have as much of the drama or action in the past, partly maybe because there was so much build-up to it. I know there's a lot of unknowns going into this weekend, but with so many people in the points position and what they're looking at, is this really a drama-filled race, or is this one that's going to be, you suspect, a little bit more conservative, maybe like in some years past?
I mean, what are people expecting, right? I mean, I think in a ways, I mean, you look at Bristol the last few years, there's been wild finishes. And there is a lot on the line, and there's a lot of, obviously, points and things like that where drivers are going to have to be pretty smart. But I think maybe the expectations for Bristol is different than other racetracks. when you look at it, I think Bristol has the most entertaining racing of any track we go to, period. I don't think there's a track better than this one. But I also think everyone's expectations are unrealistic of what they can possibly get out of it, because whether it's dirt or concrete, it's been pretty intense lately, and the end of the races have ended in fireworks in a lot of them. So I don't know what you would be expecting anything different than that. It's been great.
No, I just wonder if it was almost a victim of the expectations. There's so much build-up for it.
Yeah, I think it might be unrealistic, or people were expecting something different, but this is the best racetrack we come to. Yep.
All right, Joey, congratulations again on that start tomorrow, and thank you for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck.
All right. Thank you very much.